My name is Troy, and I'd always loved doodling. Most of my notebooks were full of it. I only did it 'cause I was always bored. It was when I first saw Selena that my doodles actually began to take meaning. I began to weave a story, and it was the story of my fantasy. See, Selena was like no other girl. She was beautiful, kind, and smart. And a guy like me was the kind of guy that never got a girl like that. So, in my stories, she and I would go on walks together. We would kiss. We would get married and have kids. And along the way, we solved problems and mysteries and made the world a better place. I made a webtoon out of it, and it did well. In fact, it did so well that I created a loyal following online. People loved my stories. Unfortunately, it wasn't the case in real life. Nobody knew about my webtoon at school, and they all just thought that I was weird. Maybe it was my fault. I was really shy, so I rarely talked and kept to myself. People said I was a slow learner. I did poorly in exams and my grades were close to failing. Some people even put out the rumor that I couldn't read, that I could only communicate with drawings. Luckily, I had Mario by my side. Mario was my best friend. He was the only one who defended me when people talked behind my back. And Mario was so cool, way cooler than me. He was friends with Selena, and whenever they hung out, Mario would invite me. We got into manga and anime together, and because his family was rich, he would always be up to date with all the latest stuff, and he would let me borrow them. One time, after a business trip to Japan, his dad even brought home a Waruto figure just for me. My passion for drawing and manga eventually collided, and I decided I wanted to be a mangaka one day. At first, Mario didn't take me seriously. Are you kidding? Japan is so far away. So, you're gonna move there? You realize living in Japan is expensive, right? How are you even gonna afford the plane ticket? But then, some people thought my dream was cool, and they admired me for that. I guess that's why Mario became jealous, that I had a plan for my life and he didn't even know what he wanted. So, Mario began to want to have the same dream as me. I thought nothing of it. I thought it was awesome that he was my best buddy and wanted to go for the same dream as me. But it turned out he didn't want to do it with me. He just wanted to show that he could get there faster. With his dad's money, he would fly to Japan constantly. He enrolled in classes there, and when he came back, he offered me a deal. Yo, I got an idea. So, since you're too poor to actually become a comic artist, why don't you make me a comic and I'll pay you for it? With Selena's number. Don't worry, it's just for me. I won't release it or anything. I don't know. Maybe I was blinded by love. Maybe I still didn't think my best friend would betray me. But I gave in. I poured lots of hard work and time into that comic. And then, when it was done, I was so proud of my work that I ran to Mario and showed him my masterpiece. As promised, he gave me Selena's number. I put in a good word for you. Make sure you call her tonight. I did, but when Selena answered, she simply laughed. Why would I go out with you? Aren't you Mario's best friend? I'm literally on a date with him now. How did you even get my number, you creep? Lose my number and don't ever talk to me again. The next morning, I ran to Mario's house, desperate to find out what happened. Why did he go around and betray me like that? I knocked at their door, and the butler answered. Sorry, boy. The young master and his father are not in today. They are on a flight to Japan as we speak. I panicked. I had a sneaking suspicion about what Mario was about to do, and when I checked on his social media, I saw my suspicions confirmed. He was on his way to submit my masterpiece as his own work, and he brought Selena along too. Later that day, news about him being signed by one of the biggest manga publishing houses in Japan had spread, and my heart broke. It was my work, my dream that he took and used for his own ambition. He stole that deal of a lifetime that should have been mine. Hurt, but not completely beaten, I decided to follow my own path. I had to work 3 jobs, but I eventually managed to save enough to go to Japan. I got an economy flight and stayed in the cheapest capsule hotel I could find. I sent out my CV and portfolio at least to a dozen places, until one finally got back to me and took me on as an intern. I was so happy to have a kind boss, but then one day I saw a poster that I never thought I'd see. It was my masterpiece. I had been accepted at the same publishing house that Mario was working with. One day, Mario came into the office and saw me photocopying for the artists, and he laughed. Oh my, and to think you're the one people thought would one day be an artist. Now look at you, doing menial tasks. You don't even get to draw a stick. Sad. You're a thief, you're a liar, and you know that. Yeah, and who's gonna believe you? The minimum wage photocopier or the celebrated manga artist? One day, I had to pull an all-nighter because Mario was punishing me with tons of work. I was so overworked and fatigued that I could barely see where I was going. I needed a break, so I went to a park nearby, and then I headed to the boys' bathroom. But when I was about to wash my face, the whole room filled with high-pitched screams. There were at least 10 girls there. Oh my God, what are you doing here? Help, there's a boy in here! I looked up and realized my mistake. I hurried out of there, but one of them pulled me back in. The girls all surrounded me, and they all had weird looks on their faces. I'm sorry, screaming at you was very rude. We didn't see how handsome you were. Yeah, and your hair. Wow, I've never met a foreigner before. Neither have I. Look at how big his eyes are, and how beautiful the color of them are. Now that you're in here, you might as well stay. They started closing in on me, and I panicked. I ran out of there, but the girls all ran after me. My hotel was close by, so I dashed into the building, hoping to find refuge. But the girls just followed me inside. They were gaining on me until I felt a hand grab me and pull me into one of the capsules. It was pitch black in there. Shh. She put her finger on her lips to tell me to stay quiet. You made the grave mistake of bumping into the Chiba girl gang. Those chicks are notorious for love-trapping guys. You need to convince them you're not available. Nice to meet you too. How do I do that? You have to kiss me. Kiss you? In front of them. That way, they leave you alone. We heard the girls coming around the corner, and I had no other choice but to agree. As the girls were about to find out who I was, Ayumi leaned in and kissed me. She pushed on the door. I kissed her back. She pushed the door again, but it didn't budge. The girls ran past our capsule, and we were still inside. Ayumi suddenly stopped kissing me and started banging on the door. Shoot! I must have gotten us in the wrong capsule. Can we turn the lights on? I told you, we're in the wrong capsule. I don't have the key to turn the lights on. We tried calling for help. We tried the intercom, but without the key to activate anything, we were trapped. For 2 whole days, we had nothing to do but talk and get to know each other in the dark. Luckily, I had gone to the 11-7 on my way back to work, and I had snacks in my backpack. On day 2, I realized that I had a flashlight in my bag. We finally had light, and I finally got to see how beautiful Ayumi was. I started doodling out of boredom, and when Ayumi saw, she gasped. I know that style. Did you? Are you the guy who made Winter Sonata? I blushed and nodded. Ayumi was a longtime fan of my old webtoon. She had begged and begged her father for years to help her find the guy who had made it. Are you serious? Nobody has offered to make it a series yet? In all of Japan? I shook my head. Then I'm sure this is fate. Ayumi was the daughter of a legendary mangaka, the guy who made Waruto and Two Piece, and he owned one of Japan's top publishing houses. When we were finally rescued from the capsule 48 hours later, she immediately took me to see her father, and on that same day, I was signed with them. My manga was finally released, and it received huge success. Girls from everywhere emailed and DM'd me, telling me how romantic the stories were. Many of them wanted to date me, but I only had eyes for Ayumi. Even the Chiba Girl Gang became the founders of my fan club, and they followed me around everywhere. One day, I returned to my old job to collect my things, and Mario was there. He laughed at me. Long time no see, compadre. You just disappeared from your post. Did you think we won't fire you for that? Go back home and... Who are these girls? Are they people you owe money to? You should really sort your life out, bud. Did you hear? My manga's coming out this week. You should be more like me. You sure? 'Cause last time I heard, you were the one getting fired today. Especially since I told your bosses who the real artist behind your manga is. Mario froze. What? I showed him his notice, and I showed him the success that Winter Sonata had garnered. These girls aren't creditors. They're my fan club. No, you can't do this to me. Come on, you have to help me, buddy. You're my best pal. Ask them to reverse their decision. I'm in so much debt. I'll make Selena go on a date with you. Excuse me? Selena slapped him. You can't keep using me and selling me off to people you need favors from. Get lost, loser. I'm out of here. You really are a loser, Mario. Pack your things before I tell security you're trespassing. On the night of my manga's first anniversary, I proposed to Ayumi. My fans all swooned as I took her in my arms and kissed her. Even the Chiba Girl Gang cheered.